is the Rangers Journal now.
Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of the Rangers Journal. I'm joined this evening by two special guests, well not special guests, regular guests. Doug, first of all. Doug, how are you doing tonight, mate?
Not too bad, thanks. A lot more chippier, or chirpier, I should say, post-match than usual. But yeah, other than that, good.
Cammy, nice to see you again, mate. We should just get a flat together, I think, and just do this. We're on every night at the moment.
Aye, 24 hours on from the pre-match. I'm looking forward to getting into the game last night in a wee bit more detail, and it's good to be happy and actually reading Rangers social media without constant negativity. So long may that continue until Sunday at least.
It is a bit of a change, Doug, because me and Cammy last night were trying to keep it on the happier side, but we're struggling with it just with the way things are going at the moment. But what was your feelings, because we'd had Heather say yesterday, what was your feelings going into the game? Were you expecting to see what we've seen, or were you expecting a kind of closer kind of affair?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a tough game. Nice had not won yet in the Europa League, so they really needed to win last night to kind of keep their hopes alive, I think, for qualification. So I was expecting them to be up and at it. They hadn't lost at home this season either. So I was expecting, despite the fact that I was aware that they had a lot of players out due suspensions. I think about 8 or 9 players injured. But they're still a quality team, 5th in Ligue 1. So top 5 league. I was expecting us to have a tough night of it. But I predicted myself. I was predicting a 1-1 draw. Because I thought that we would still potentially be able to fight it out. But pleasantly surprised, because at the risk of being mean, they were absolutely atrocious. I'm not sure what happened. They just absolutely collapsed. I knew that their players had mistakes in them, but they made so many mistakes. It was crazy. So going into it, I was expecting an absolutely different type of match, but I was very happy with the one that we got.
Well, Cammy, the starting lineup, we didn't get it too far wrong, but I guess we got one particular place wrong, and that was Hamza Igaman coming in instead of Cyril Dessers. I didn't see it. I just didn't think he would play a guy, I guess, who's been struggling. He's looked good sometimes and then kind of struggled for form in other games when he's been on. But what was your initial reaction to see that Dessers had been dropped?
Bold. I thought I basically echo what I said last night. I didn't see the manager making such a bold decision but probably the right decision. Cyril Dessers hasn't been in great form, and I think what we were going to need was somebody that was going to be able to hold the ball in and offer a wee bit of movement, and obviously stick the ball in the back of the net. So it was a surprise, and it worked out far better, I think, than any of us could have imagined. I think we've seen flashes and seen small signs of a talent that's obviously needing a wee bit of polishing, and I think that showed again last night. But I think we're all in a position where, I think, no disrespect to Cyril Dessers, but we've seen, and we'll go into Cyril Dessers when he came on, but I was pleased, and the guy came in, grabbed his opportunity, stuck the ball in the back of the net twice, and that's he's basically, that's the start of his Rangers career now for me.
Mm-hmm. The main thing that I feel that he's got over Dessers at the moment is that physicality, Doug. He looks like a big player. I don't think Dessers is by any means a shrinking violet, but he doesn't seem to have that physical. That's not part of his game, to be physical and hold the ball up. So yourself, because I asked Cammy what his opinion of the change. What was your kind of initial reaction to seeing Igaman starting instead of Dessers?
Yeah, I think a little bit of surprise, just because it was, obviously a big European game, and your managers are maybe less likely to take chances like that in a match like that. But the more I kind of thought about it, it weirdly kind of made sense. There comes a point when you've got players like Danilo and Igaman who are either coming back from injury or just finding their feet, sort of thing, but you do have to just take that chance and put them in, and especially when your player that they're going to replace is off form. So there does come a point where you do just have to go right times to time. And weirdly enough, we play better in Europe. We're a better team in the Europa League than we are in domestically. And given all the things that we want to see from Igman that we lack in Dessers, movement, finding space, interacting with the players around him, he's probably more likely to get the space and the time to sort of refine that and show that in a European match. So I think in a weird way, that was the good game to take it and to do it. And in the domestic game, he might have just got smothered out by, rough defending, and he might have just spent all his day battling away with, a big brute Scottish defender. Whereas I think, the European game gave him that opportunity to express himself, which he did. I think we got to see, 3/4 of all the best things out of him. And like Cammy said, there's still that little rawness there. There was a couple of moments where I was like, that's a wee bit naive, or I want to see a bit more from him here. But, it's from like a young guy that we know is developing rather than Dessers, who's obviously at the other end of his career.
Let's go into the game then, because Nice had the better of the first 5-6 minutes, but I think that's where it ended, wasn't it? Because they had a good initial attack, good save by Butland, and then for me, inexplicably, were awarded a penalty. Cammy, in real time, did you see what was going to? There seemed to be two contentious issues: a handball and then a Connor Barron tackle or stroke winning the ball.
I think, to be honest with you, I think the thought was that John Souttar, I think he's been done for handball in that sort of situation, but it turns out it's like, I think he's midriff. The referee, I thought, was just trying to find something. I heard the expression when he went across to the monitor. I think he was trying to mark his own homework, and that he was trying to find something. It was quite bizarre. I've never in the couple of years that VAR's been going, have I seen, could you rewind it back? Could you fast forward it? Could you just find something that's going to justify? Whereas the commentary we're talking about, it was for the initial handball. It was quite just a bizarre situation. But the right decision, and you could see the sort of John Souttar's face when I think Proper said to him, "It's for handball against you." You could tell from his reaction that. But I think Souttar, to his credit, I think had sort of put his hands by his side or behind his back, or whereas at times he's obviously left his cell open. But crazy from the referee, to be honest with you, and I think it was the right decision, and we obviously kicked on from there.
Doug, I'll come to you on Souttar in particular, because he has been done a few times with the handballs, and I think it was one in Kilmarnock last season, wasn't there? Obviously the one earlier on this season. He's likely to get caught for that because he does throw himself on the line an awful lot, and with these split second, the penalty got given against us at Ibrox earlier on the season. It looks like he moves his up towards the ball, but for me it was just because you're seeing it in slow motion, it looks like he's done that, but it's just because he's thrown himself at things. I like that, but it does leave us open to conceding penalties, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm absolutely nothing against Souttar for those types of things, because you see them given against loads of defenders who are like that. I think you see it against the kind of more Souttar-like defenders in the Premiership as well. That happens if you're throwing your body, you're desperately trying to get yourself in front of something because your one goal, ironically, is to stop a goal. You're not paying attention. You've not got the time in that split second sometimes to be thinking, "Oh, is my arm tucked? Am I making myself unnatural?" You're just throwing yourself in there. Limbs will fly, and the rules are still got that little bit of quirk in them that sometimes the interpretation is just going to go against you. When you move like that, your arms do quite often go out because you're usually flinging yourself in a way that's meaning you're going to land on the floor. So your body's natural inclination is for your arm will go out slightly to either help protect yourself when you're landing or whatever it might be. So I think it's just going to be a part of the game for defenders like that occasionally, you're going to get a ref who's going to look at it and decide that arm's out in the wrong way or whatever. And like you say, slow motion sometimes actually does more harm than good because it can look like someone's deliberately moving an arm that's actually, when you play it at full speed, just moving. So, I think that's just something that is going to happen now and again.
Nearly did it. Nearly talked with the mute on. Basically, Cammy, after that, as I was saying, it was one-way traffic. I feel for us after that six-minute mark, we broke away. Not long after that, I feel like it was Bayrami. It was that had it. We broke through and he placed it back to Igaman, where he maybe should have just laid it on to Czerny. And then also we had another Jefty broke through them like knife through proverbial butter. Just put it by the post. So we were knocking on the door quite early. We dominated that whole kind of midsection of the first half. Do you agree?
I think the early part of the game for both teams was there was a lot of mistakes. I think certainly from our point of view, when we were sort of transitioning and getting opportunities, it was just poor decision making. But it was positive. I expected them to basically batter us for the first 15, 20 minutes, come out the traps. And I think it was frustration that the slide pass to Czerny to take it with his left foot. And I think McCoist he basically explained why it was the wrong pass because of the body shape and all that sort of situation of the defender. But we obviously got our rewards not long after that. But it's the first goal and the second goal in these games are massive, and then when the third one went in, it just I still can't quite believe 24 hours on. But away from home and Rangers in Europe are much less stress, and it'd be so much if all games were played on a Thursday night. I think there was a lot of social media flying about last night. Life might be so much easier.
I did see one of those government poll things. I'm sure it was fake, but a petition to make Rangers play only on Thursday nights going forward. Just back on that one chance, Doug, should we at least have got a shot away? Is Igaman maybe held on to it too long, tried to do too much?
Yeah, it was, dare I say, slightly Dessers-esque in a way. You do want to sometimes just take the shot. Dessers himself did have one in the second half that I remember mentioning in the chat was a classic Dessers where he got the ball and he just wanted to take that extra touch past some defenders, where if he just shot, he probably had a better chance of scoring. So I think it's a similar kind of thing to that. But it's early in the game, you're maybe still feeling your way into it. He obviously comes good later on, so I'll let him off for that one.
Fair enough. Well, okay, stay with you, Doug. Let's talk about the opening goal. I think good work and good power by Igaman I don't even know, he kind of just bullies the ball down and there's that wee tiny little almost accidental layoff for Czerny. And of course it takes two wicked deflections, I would say, going towards the goal. But I don't care. 1-0 up. What did you think of the goal in general?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you need that little bit of luck, and we get that with the deflections. The goalkeeper does the classic where he's about to move, and then all of a sudden the ball moves in his head. He just kind of flops backwards. But in a way, we did kind of make. You still have to put the effort in to make the luck sometimes, and Igaman does that by like you say, winning the ball. Again, that's something we don't always see from Dessers. He's not. Like you said earlier, he's certainly built to look after himself, but doesn't always seem to. We've talked, I know various people have talked this season about him seeming a bit whinier this season and falling down a lot and things like that. I don't see that from Igaman in the small amount of play I've seen. He seems like he's more willing to stand up and stand his ground, and indeed as he gets a second goal by doing a similar thing in terms of like winning the ball. So I think that's a positive sign, because sometimes you can just get goals out of nowhere by doing that kind of thing. So if he can continue to do that, he will contribute assists that way. And obviously he puts on to Czerny. Czerny is our form player. I think he's probably player of the season along with Barron. Certainly over the last few weeks, he's getting goals. He's only 2 goals away from Dessers now. He's got 8 goals, so he's getting goals consistently, which is something we've really badly needed from our wingers and our midfielders. So, I'm really happy. The more this season goes on, the more I would love to see him stay if he continues to play like that. And, the way he's talked, I think that could potentially be achievable. But we'll see how the rest of the season goes. But I've been very impressed by him. And he pops up again, even though it's deflected. You still need to take the shot to get the chance, which he does, and that's another goal to his tally.
Cammy, Czerny's getting the goals that you would say Ryan Kent didn't. Now, I don't want to compare them completely because Czerny doesn't do the defending work that Ryan Kent does, but just the little kind of just a wee pop at goal, and he had no run up at it, but he got the power behind it, and I think he deserved it.
I've got great admiration for the way that he's recovered from some horror moments and some horror misses not that long ago. He showed a great character, and I think after we played, I think it was St Johnstone in the cup, he was very honest and said that he hadn't been good enough, but he's doing his talking on the park, and I think Doug's spot on. He is our main creative threat, and 8 goals at the end of November after a sort of slow start, I think is really, really positive. I mean, 12 to 15, I don't think is out with. If you think back a year ago, Abdallah Sima was probably on similar sort of numbers. You've lost, obviously, Sima's numbers, and it's great that Czerny's coming in, and I think he's contributing. He frustrates me a wee bit that he always wants to favour that lovely left foot that he's got. I would still like to see him try and go on the outside a wee bit, and he has scored goals in that way. But Czerny for me is doing really, really well, and I think we'll need him to be at his best over the next few weeks to continue to be successful.
Now, Cammy, I'll stay with you. I don't want to say that I felt that we were on easy street from then on. And also, when it comes to the second goal, I don't want to give the defender too much of a hard time because I turned away, actually, when I seen the ball. Thought it was going back to the goalkeeper. But as a defender, that's probably not something. I'm not a defender. I'm just watching at home. He shouldn't have let that ball out of his sight until he knew the goalkeeper had it. What do you make of the second goal?
I think I said last night on the post-match, I loved the fact that it was a midfield player making a run into the box. We don't get enough players into the box. And Dio's sort of gambled. I don't think. I think Sterling gets the assist for it. But if you don't buy a ticket, and he gets his rewards, and it's a fantastic finish. I mean, it comes to him really, really quickly, and he sticks it away with aplomb. And I'm really pleased for Dio. He's had a tough spell. But I mean, 2-0 away to Nice. I think we were on dreamland at that point, and it's another player that I think has got goals in his locker. We just want to see more of that from Diomande and all the midfield players and wide players getting into the box, getting closer to the centre forwards, whoever that may be. If we get more players in the box, we're going to score more goals, because ultimately that's, I think, a big part of our problem, that we're not scoring enough goals, and the more players you get in the box, the better.
Doug, I seen you kind of nodding along there when Cammy was talking about the quality of the finish. What did you make of the technique, and even just all round? Were you surprised that the ball came to him in the first place?
Yeah, that was the goal of the game for me. The way he takes it, just over Ingeman's second, but yeah, like you say, you almost just didn't see it coming. He just suddenly was on the ball, and it was in the goal. But I mean, Cammy's bang on. We will need our midfielders to do that kind of thing more often. That's exactly what Arfield used to do regularly, and he would just quietly chalk up goals throughout the season doing that. Coming off the bench, quite famously at times, like in Aberdeen, getting late goals. And he would do that by being the guy that would just, get in there and beat a player to a ball and something like that. And that's exactly, one of the things that I was really pleased about with that, it's him going in, gambling. I don't know whether the defenders thought he's heard a shout or something, or he's just totally miscalculated it. Whatever it was, if he doesn't gamble, like Cammy says, he doesn't get that goal. And if you do more of that, then you'll get more of those types of goals. And the second thing that I really liked about this is that we did to Nice what sometimes teams have done to us, and that we scored first and then we scored a second really quickly. So it's like a bang, bang, punch. And, it was that was the knockout. You could immediately see them starting to realise that this wasn't going to be their night. And obviously by the third, I think we'd totally taken the wind out their sails. But it was just really good that, we were up and at it. We didn't score and sort of sit back. We were still at it. And we got another quick goal, which, as I say, really put us in the driving seat for the rest of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, these goals that when we lose one, we lose two, seems to be the first half at Parkhead, doesn't it? But we'll move on from that. Not long after that, incredibly, we go 3-0 up. Hamza Egeman does get a goal. I don't know, Doug. There's actually contention around what goal I think is the goal of the night, because the second, third, and fourth are all fantastic goals. Cammy, just with the earlier miss, my heart was in my mouth when I seen him kind of breaking through, and he didn't seem to hit the ball as early as I was hoping for. But watching it back, he picks his spot, and it is a great finish to go 3-0 up.
I loved his composure. I don't know if I was quite as relaxed watching him going through and goal. To be honest with you, I think if that's big Dessers, he's probably going to have chopped 3 times before he's finally stuck the ball in the back of the net. But lovely finish, and then I think as my wee boy said, I think celebrated with a knee slide. So if he goes on to score as many goals and as many knee slides as my hero Morelos, I'll be delighted. But I thought he showed great composure and stuck it away well. 3-0 at half time. What was it? It was Dreamland in Deutschland, but obviously just a bit away for that. But I was delighted for Egeman. Great finish.
At least it wasn't nightmares in Nice, Doug, eh?
No, nice time in Nice.
Nice time in Nice. Enough. I don't know. I'm maybe getting them mixed up. Cammy, was it not Diamandi did the slide? Can't remember now, but because I think
he did. Because there's a great photo of him where he's kind of hovering above the grass that I nearly used in the thumbnail.
I'm not nitpicking, Cammy, but because I wanted to bring up something that I noticed after a couple of the goals was a very subdued. You can see them doing this kind of calm down reaction. Doug, I'll come to you on this. Do you think this is more to do with rather than the game itself, more to do with the kind of feeling around the team at the moment that they haven't been performing and not to get carried away and go knee slides or whatever? But it was a weird. They all came together, calmly talked, and you could see them talking to each other. What do you think was going on?
I'm not sure. It was a bit odd. Like I thought, young lad getting European goals. I was expecting them to be a bit more sort of excited, if you like. But I don't know. Like you say, maybe it was something about let's just keep calm. If it is that's a hell of a positive sign for his mentality. If he's a young lad, like I say, getting European goals at his first major club, and he's able to, rather than just go crazy, have the wherewithal to turn to his teammates and be like, let's keep calm, let's keep on the game. So if he is doing that kind of thing, then that speaks wonders for him in terms of his future and his development. But yeah, I don't know if there's maybe something that we don't know about going on there. But yeah, I did notice that myself. It's been slightly odd.
So we're going at half-time, as Cammy was saying there, 3-0 up. We've seen pictures of the fans at half-time celebrating that. I thought the noise the fans made last night was fantastic. I think we must have outnumbered the Nice fans because their stadium looked empty. Whether that's a sign of their thoughts on the competition or whether it's a sign of what they think of their current team at the moment, but they certainly were underperforming at half-time. Moving into the second half, Cammy, a bit disappointing. Only one goal on it for us in the second half, eh?
Aye, but early doors in the second half, and I think I said before we went live, the fact that you're sitting for the last half an hour relaxed and you know that the 3 points are in the bag, and there was I think their fans chucked it, but I think their defenders chucked it as well. To be honest with you, I think they were 2-0 down in their previous home tie. But I think the third goal, basically, they lost it completely. 4-0 up. I think the most goals that Rangers have scored away in Europe since in Lyon 2007, I think was the stat, which is quite remarkable. But at the end of the, you could have been 6, 7, 8, 9, and it wouldn't have flattered us at all. But Igaman stuck it away very well. I think he nutmegs the guy and then sticks it in the corner. 2 goals, fantastic.
What sticks out for me on that goal, Doug, is there was comments at the weekend about how we don't press properly and we don't stop the ball coming out of defence. Well, he does that right there. And not only that, as Cammy was saying, nutmegs the player, battles him for strength and gets round him. There's players coming across him to try and block his shot, but he picks his spot at the back post. Fantastic goal.
Yeah, it was a really nicely placed, just into that far corner. Only really place he could have scored, and he gets it right in there, sort of like postage stamp. So I think, that I would have no qualms if someone was to say that this was the best goal of the night, as well. You could definitely pick that as well, just for the finish. But like you say, almost as impressive, or maybe not impressive, but almost as the thing that makes you happier is what that stuff that happens beforehand. Because again, it's that stuff that we've been missing with Dessers up front. He's a good goal scorer. He will get goals. I've no doubt that if he's here beyond January, he'll still end the season with 15 to 20 odd goals. That's never really been in debate. It's that roundabout game stuff. It's that as I say, the interchange with the players around him, being able to hold out the ball, and being a nuisance. Like Morelos was the greatest, or depending on your point of view, worst nuisance in the world to defenders, and every one within a 2 meter radius of him. And it looks like Igaman might have a little bit about that. He doesn't look quite as fiery as Morelos, but he certainly looks like he's got that bit of strength, and that ability to just nudge players, let them know that he's there. I saw a little bit of the classic Morelos using his arse kind of moves as well during the game. So I know a lot of people will be welcome to see that kind of thing back as well. And that will make a big difference in terms of playing against not only the European defenders but domestic defenders as well, who will get tighter and will be a little bit more brash with them. So yeah, I think that's something to look forward to.
Cammy, just in that, I'll let you come in. Let me ask you this first, but in relation to the Morelos kind of comparison, is it maybe a better thing that he doesn't have that temperament that Morelos had? Because certainly Morelos got himself a reputation that probably got him more cards than he deserved. So if we can have that not in a player, but still have the good attributes that Morelos had, what do you think?
100%. The one thing I liked about his performance last night, apart from the 2 goals and the other qualities that he offered, was I think Derek McInnes had referenced it pre-match or at half-time about when he played against Hibs, the game at Ibrox where he started, he wandered and he didn't just stay in the middle. And I thought he was far more disciplined in the regard that he wasn't going out to the wings and what have you. And I think that we had that focal point, and obviously he scores the second goal because he's went into the wide area, but we had him as the centre forward. Listen, I loved Morelos, but he equally frustrated the life out of you because he needlessly got involved. But I think somebody that's got a bit of physicality makes the centre halves know that they're in a game, whether that's playing against Tottenham in a couple of weeks' time or whether that's playing against St Johnstone on Sunday. You just want somebody that is a nuisance and isn't whining and isn't moaning at the referee and wanting fouls all the time. So I think that Igman has showed up really, really well last night. And as I say, if he scores 120 goals for Rangers like Alfredo does, I'll be more than happy.
Did you have another point? Was it on Igaman?
No, it was just basically it was about his positioning as much as anything else. Right. It was just that was something that when you're doing the post match last night, it's instant. It's only when you're watching things back a wee bit today that you actually you pick up on things. But I thought that certainly helped. And just as Doug says, all the qualities that he brought, despite his rawness, is everything that Dessers doesn't bring. And I think having a centre forward, whether that's Igman, whether that's Danilo, whether that's somebody else that comes in, it helps the players behind when they know that they've got a centre forward that's going to be able to offer them different things. And I think that's. But having the more options that we've got, the better in the final third moving forward.
Doug, Cammy had said that the fourth goal goes in and then that's your feet up, slippers on. I never get that feeling as a Rangers fan. I'm always thinking, if they get one back right now, they could get one, but another, and then they could be. If they only need 5 goals. I don't know why I'm like that, but it's where my mind goes. Were you calm after that goal? Were you calm at half time?
Not at half time. I mean, I felt comfortable. We were playing well, so I didn't have any reason to believe it was going to collapse in any way. But by the time you get to 4, I think I do usually think, right, that's going to be the game there. You have to have a pretty poor show of things if you're going to collapse from 4, and that can happen. They're obviously not going to rule it out, but certainly that particular night, as I say, Nice were just whatever happened. They just totally collapsed last night, and I just couldn't see them getting back in the game. I did think they'd maybe get a goal, which obviously they ultimately do, because as I say, they're still good. They're still good players. The main player that I was afraid of, he actually ended up starting on the bench. Gusson came on, and so at that point I kind of was like, well, I hope we keep an eye on him because I knew he was dangerous. And they did have, I think, if I was a Nice fan, I'm not sure the lad's name, but they've got a centre mid who's very combative throughout the game and did a lot of their passing, and he was probably the one player for them that I actually thought played well. If I was a Nice fan, I'd be sitting here going, he's the only one with pass marks, sort of thing. And he continued to be bright in the second half. The thing that I really like about the second half, and again, is something that we don't always do, and that maybe Egeman, I don't know whether, hopefully it's something that he's going to repeat in the future. But if anyone goes and looks at the like momentum maps that are on like FotMob and SofaScore and things like that, if you watch the first half of the second half, there's much more Nice, which you would expect coming out. Obviously having been down, they're trying to get back in the game. But in the little spikes, there's only 3 little spikes in the first half of the second half. For us, when it dips back to our pressure, and in 2 of those 3 is our goals. And so it's like, we're riding the pressure, and then the moment we got our time, we score. And that's something that we don't always do. How many times have we been in games ruined chances when a team have gone on and scored? But in this game, we were defending well. Even when they were getting chances, I thought we were doing well. And then in those critical moments, we got the goals. And that, again, has been a criticism at times of Dessers, and that he does score, but he doesn't always score when the times we most need it. So there's a couple of the Old Firm games where he's had chances where had he scored, the game might have changed, and that's an important thing because we get an early goal in that second half that puts the game to bed, and as I say, I think a lot of us by that point were then able to kind of just enjoy the rest of it.
I wouldn't say that we rang the changes to shut up shop, Cammy, but we brought on 62 minutes James Tavernier for Sterling and McCausland for Czerny. I'm assuming, from my point of view, that was a kind of a like for like, and just we didn't really need to score any more goals, so let's protect these players and have them available for the weekend.
I think it's get the sports science hat on. I think it's about managing minutes and protecting Czerny, who's obviously played a lot of football, been away international, and hasn't missed a lot of games at all. Sterling's obviously we're building him, and that's him started on Saturday. He started last night. I would expect him to start again on Sunday. When you're in a position, this is where if we could do this more on a domestic front, you would be able to do this far more regularly, and you would be able to give younger players the opportunity. I mean, I think they said in commentary that Tav's getting close to Super Ali's record. I think they said he's one behind or something along those lines. And I think Tav's goal scoring so far this season hasn't been what it was previously. And the way the game was going, I was like, we might get a penalty here, and they might get the opportunity to do that. But I think that's what you want. You want to get games put to bed, and you want to be able to manage your players ahead of what is going to be a crazy spell across the next few weeks.
Doug, I'll come to you because I guess you are the Journal's #1 James Tavernier fan. In fact, you try to get people to join the fan club. How do you feel he's been playing in the kind of recent past, and does he deserve to be starting games, or are you happy that Sterling's now kind of taken over?
No, I think we're in a pretty sweet spot, to be honest. I said, despite my, despite how I might be blinded to continue playing him if I were the manager, I have said, as much as I love him from the start of the season, that this was the season that we absolutely had to start the transition. If nothing else, because it keeps us in control of that. I do think we have seen a little bit of the creative fall off in the last few games where he's not been playing. We have been seeing, that sight of what life will be like without him being that creative driving force. But at the end of the day, the players that are there are going to have to step up and fill that void. Sterling, obviously a decent player. I think he can make that role his. Potentially, especially now he's a big chance for him with Casemiro being injured. So we've still got that little bit of concern over his fitness and can he continue and play game after game, which is something we need from our players. But I feel like that's you've kind of got the ideal situation where if that's a concern, play him for 60 minutes, and ideally, if you've got to the point, particularly by last night's game. As I say, we were comfortable in that game, so you can take him off, protect him, and you're putting on a player with a wealth of experience who's, been arguably our best European player over the last decade, who will still create chances for you, still do things. Tavernier actually ended the match having created the second most chances for us by the time we finished. So, he still does that when he's on the field. And so I think it's kind of a really good spot to be in now, especially, I think Tavernier will be professional and recognise that, that's where he is now in his career with Rangers. And hopefully, he can just continue to do his best in terms of it. Obviously, he's still the club captain, so he's still got a leadership position to play. And he can show people that side of himself from the bench rather than from the pitch, and as I say, hopefully help Sterling to solidify that position and make it his own for the future.
Scotty's asking a question here, Doug. Does he leave soon?
Personally, I wouldn't be in a hurry to get rid of him unless there's a player that they're desperate to get in January, and the only way to do it is to sell Tavernier to free up wages or get a couple of million in, whatever it might be. Because, like I say, I think we're in a good position having him as a backup player. You either have your backups are either going to be young players, squad players, or your older, experienced ones, and I think he's still worth having about the place. I do think he's. I was surprised he didn't come on in the Dundee United game when we were chasing a goal. He's still a moments player, and even when you're playing badly, there's been plenty of times in the past where he's played badly but still got a crucial goal. And I still think he could play a role in that part as well. Obviously he's criticised for his performances in losing goals at Old Firms. He's also the only player that's got who scores regularly in Old Firms as well. So he's still got a part to play in that respect as well. So I would be keeping him for that backup role, especially, again, we've got injury concerns with Casemiro. We don't know how long and or how often that will become a thing. So I would probably be keeping him unless, as I say, if there's a really good player out there and the only way to get him in is to take Tavernier out, then obviously I would go with that.
And if you're James Tavernier in that situation, do you go?
I suppose that would just come down to the offer that's on the table for him, where it is. I don't think he would be in any hurry to leave. He was seemingly on the verge of leaving in the summer, but didn't. So there's obviously the potential there. So yeah, I think it'll just come down to what the offer is for him.
I think Scotty's winding us up now, asking what Cammy thinks. I'm going to move on for Tavernier.
Can I just quickly? He's under contract to 2026. He'll have 10 years service in the summer of 2025. He'll be entitled to a testimonial, etc. I don't expect James Tavernier to leave unless he gets weighed in, so to speak. I think a testimonial potentially could bring in a few quid for him, allied to the 40 grand a week. So I don't see James Tavernier leaving in January, but I think it was interesting, the manager, when Big Castle got injured, he referenced the fact that he was losing a player that could play right, left and centre. So I think that will be something that we do look at in January. Not necessarily somebody that's going to be the right back, but I think somebody that's going to be able to cover those positions. But I expected Scotty to come in with that one. But I think that the sort of it is the right time to and I just hope that Dujon can handle and his body allows him to play. But if we can manage his minutes, and you've got Tav to come in for the last 20-25 minutes of games, and he can still come up with those moments, as much as he has regressed.
We'll go a bit full circle, Cammy, and talk about the player that was omitted from the starting lineup, and that's Cyril Dessers, because he comes on, I think, in the 69th minute. There's obviously a very, I don't know what you'd call it, a sitter. There's a miss towards the end of the game that he really should be burying. Just in general, what do you think his performance when he came on last night was?
That is Cyril Dessers. That is, I think I've said on pods before, that's what he does. Controls it brilliantly, and then I've no idea how he doesn't just put the ball in the back of the net. It is what it is with regard to Dessers. I don't get too angry about it now, because I don't expect, for as long as he remains a Rangers player, I don't think anything's going to change with him.
Scotty in the comments mentioning his hero Shankland again. Doug, did you see that penalty miss last night from Shankland?
I didn't know. Sorry, I didn't watch any of the other games.
I just seen it kicking around Twitter. I think he skies it over the bar. But coming back to you, if you're all right with that, Doug, on Dessers and his performance last night, obviously bringing Iggyman off makes sense. Protect him, hopefully get him on at the weekend again. But I just feel that, Dessers has now got somebody on his back, and the worst thing he could possibly do is miss sitters like that, isn't it?
Yeah, but it just makes people, it just focuses people more on the differences between the two players. Iggyman's come on, young man, played well, shown us as we've talked about all these things that we feel we miss from Dessers, and then Dessers comes on and misses an absolute sitter. It'd be one thing. Coisty made the point on the commentary. It'd been one thing if he'd hit it at the goalie and missed it, but he doesn't even get on target from that position. And I mean, he had the time. He could have taken the ball down, stopped for half a second, and then shot. So he was in that beautiful little position right in the middle of the two defenders, and he'd had that second if he'd wanted it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's, unfortunately for him, it just increases the optics for swapping him out and giving the other guys a chance. As I say, I still think he can be useful. It puts a rocket up him if he's got not just one but two people challenging for him. And I do think that they're both people that, as I say, have those things that Dessers doesn't have in terms of movement and interplay. I think as well they're both potentially quicker, I think, than Dessers on the ground as well. So he's got more to live up to now, and he's worked hard. He's done his best. One thing I don't think anyone can criticise him for is his effort. He does put his effort in. He tries. He's got a little bit of that Sakala sort of, he's always smiling kind of thing that I think keeps him. A lot of people continuing to be a fan of him that maybe they wouldn't be otherwise. But when you see those misses like that, you have to just think it's not going to be for the long term.
Well, Cammy, Nice do get a goal back, the consolation goal. Free kick, top corner, nothing Butland could really do about it, and I thought Butland had a really good game with some of his saves. What stuck out for me was the celebration. I don't know if you noticed that. The boy really enjoyed it.
I was listening to Heart and Hand, and I think it was only a young kid. I don't know if he was about 18, 19.
Right.
So I think he's obviously buzzing. He's scored. It's a great free kick. But I think David Edgar said that I think they actually played the goal music in the stadium, which is just comical. I'm sure Rangers done that a few years ago when we were 5 down against that lot, and I think Kenny Miller scored and they played the goal music, which is just so tin pot. But I think Jack Butland had a really good game last night. Some big saves. I think that one he's potentially one step over to his right without claiming to be a goalkeeper, so that he might have got a wee bit closer to it. But it's a fantastic free kick, and that's what you. I think Scotty's 18 on your first appearance. That's you're entitled to enjoy it, I think.
Doug, I used to apparently celebrate when I scored at fives until somebody took me aside and said, stop doing that. So I had a vibe. I felt for him because the vibes of that. I guess the last thing on the match, Bailey Rice gets to come on for 10, 15 minutes. I'm glad to see him involved, because what I was worried about the manager was he would say that the youth is important, but there wasn't a lot of evidence of getting much game time. But it was good to see Bailey come on.
Absolutely. Just commenting on the goal music thing. There was nobody in the stadium to play the goal music to by that point, so I don't know why they bothered. But yeah, like you say, it was good to see him come on. I didn't think he had the best of times of it, mind you. Unfortunately, gives away the free kick from when they score. He gives away another free kick from a similar position, just on the other side of the box. So I was a wee bit worried about it at that point, but it's good to see him just getting the opportunity. So, and I'm not going to hold that against him. A, it didn't impact the game, but B, we have to allow young players to make mistakes if they're going to develop and they're going to grow. As I say, it's not something I think Rangers fans have always been the best at, due to the pressures that the jersey comes with. But you need to give the players the opportunity, whether that's going to be to thrive or not. So it's good to see him getting the opportunity. It's another substitution where someone that wasn't Kieran Dowell got on the pitch, and that makes everyone happy. So, that's a plus in my books. And hopefully he'll get more minutes as the season goes on.
All in all, Cammy, probably a very memorable night, European night. I think we'll probably talk about this for a number of years. Surely, I can't think of the word, but purely down to how big, going away, winning 4-1. It means we're pretty much qualified. I think we sit 8th in the table at the moment. 3 games to go, of course, 2 of them against Premiership teams. But I think we've done enough to have secured a place into the next round, even if it's the playoff one. But I can't remember what it's called. But the next round anyway. I think the top 8 they miss a round, don't they? Am I right with that? So at least we'll still be in Europe. Late into next season, which is good, because we're playing better football there. Looking ahead to the game against St Johnstone the weekend, what are you hoping to take into that game from the experience of this one?
I just think the confidence. If you can't take confidence from that, then I don't know what you can do. Going to a place, going to any place in Europe and scoring 4 goals and having the opportunities to score even more. I think the players must be buzzing. I think they obviously arrived back today, get a bit of recovery and ready to go at lunchtime. I just think that I don't expect many changes, if at all. I think the fact that we were able to make substitutions means that the 11 that start on Sunday are going to be buoyant. They should be buoyant. I know 12 o'clock on a Sunday is a rubbish kick-off and that sort of thing, but you should be going on to that park and looking to continue the chance creation and the finishing. Last night was enjoyable. We can enjoy it over the next couple of days, but we have to just, I said this last night, it has to be the springboard to winning the next 3 games, the next 3 league games before we play Spurs, and then have the the cup final. It can't just be, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, as has happened on several occasions this season.
I'll stay with you, Cammy. It's obviously not a preview show we're doing, but is there a shout? You're saying not a lot of changes, but is there a shout that Danilo and Hadji come into the team and Igman maybe just steps out this one despite having a good game?
Possibly. I think we play Wednesday night. I think there's going to be opportunities, I think, for Igman and for Danilo. So I just think off the back he's scoring 2 goals. I'd be surprised, assuming I think he took a wee kick. Assuming there's nothing untoward with regard to that. Danilo, you get an hour out of Igman and then you get half an hour out of Danilo. And I think you've got Dessers on the bench as well. I think that you're in a position where you can do what you done last night. And ideally, you've got the 3 points in the bag with half an hour to go, and you're able. But I don't expect. I think somebody in the comments is making a suggestion about Igman Danilo front 2. I think the days of 4-4-2 and that sort of thing are long gone. I don't see that being an option at all. I think Igman potentially could come off the left hand side with Danilo playing as the central striker. I think that's an option, but we just have to build on what was very, very positive last night and continue. And the only way that the mood changes is winning a number of games, and that has to continue on Sunday.
And Doug, do you see any changes from the starting lineup last night going into Sunday's game?
I don't see why he should. Like you say, it would be good to keep the momentum going. I think he should start Igman again, give him the opportunity to build on that. This could potentially be the start of a run for him in terms of trying to claim the shot for himself. Lad RSC 72 is obviously talking about potentially playing 2 up front. I actually think that the idea of 2 players up front suits it being Dessers and one of the other 2, because then you would get the combination of goal scorer and one that does the work. To me, that would be a very kind of Kenny Miller, Chris Boyd kind of combination. Chris Boyd, you could just park in the box and just say the ball will come to you, score, which he would. And then you'd have Kenny Miller, who was a bit more Dessers-esque in his needs 5 shots to score a goal, but was amazing and was run until he collapsed. For both Rangers and Scotland, he was good at that. So, if you've got someone that will do all the movement, that could again be a beneficial option. Like Cammy says, it's not really 2 up top's not really what we play. So I would expect to see them coming from either the wings or something. Danilo can, I believe, play behind the striker as well in a more sort of attacking mid kind of position, support striker. So you could even potentially position him in the 10 area. You could have all 3 on the park if you really, really wanted. But we all know that Clement's not one for going crazy. So I think we'll see a very similar team. To me, that's why we saw, a lot of the main players, like you say, coming off. And once the game was sorted, it gives them that little bit of rest, gives the other players minutes, and it allows them to then, as I say, play a solid team. The only one I would maybe potentially change to give some time would be Yilmaz. He came in, and again, I thought he looked really bright. He almost scored twice in the space of a minute. I was a bit confused because I forgot that he'd come on as a winger. And so when he was just suddenly in the middle, in the sort of striker-esque position, I was like, what the hell is he doing there? So I'd maybe like to see him given a few more minutes just to build himself up. But yeah, you've had such a good game. Why change things?
Well, we'll cut it off there. I think that's nearly gone 55 minutes. It doesn't feel like it, just kind of goes in a blink when you get a good result, doesn't it? Well, when it goes in a blink, will we get a good result and we can say, oh, that's great, or a bad result and we can moan about it for an hour? So there's both sides. Cammy, feel free to give any last points, but thank you very much for coming on.
No, I think it's been good to go into the game in a wee bit more detail. I think one of the comments earlier on about Jeffrey, I think I spoke about him last night on the post match. I think he's been excellent for what is a young guy coming into an environment, just settling in really, really quickly. Offers great variation from the left-hand side. The fact that he doesn't go on the outside is very comfortable coming in, which I think Ridvan's exactly the same. So I think that we spoke in the pre-match last night about the double left back, and I think that getting Ridvan back, getting Jeffrey back, I think gives us that option, potentially coming against better opposition and what have you. So it was a positive night, no other than the missed chances. I think 3 points, qualified with pretty much with 3 games to spare. I think when we saw the fixtures at the start of the league phase, I don't think anybody would have expected that. But we need to park Europe, and we need to win the next 3 games, 1 game at a time. Get that cliche into it, but very, very enjoyable to enjoy your Friday and your Saturday, and then look forward to Sunday.
That's great, mate. Doug, I think we're actually the best or the highest placed British team at the moment in the Europa League, so there's that. But thank you very much for coming on. And do you have anything else to add to the end here?
Yeah, just echo what Cammy said about Jeffrey. I think he's played very well. He's played very well all season. I think he can be firmly put under the good signing box. The only thing that's missing for him is a bit more output in terms of getting those assists, maybe getting a goal or 2. I want to see a bit more from him in that regard. But other than that, pass marks everywhere else. Like you said, I don't think the European run could have really gone much better. Obviously, the Lyon result was a bit of a disappointment, but they're a top-class side, and games like that will happen now and again. But we've put ourselves in the perfect position that I wanted us to be in, which is to go into the 2 big games against the 2 English teams, where we can just kind of go in and enjoy those games for the occasion. And if we get a bit scunnered, then okay, so be it. But we can go in with the pressure off to enjoy those games and just say, right, well, let's dig in, let's see what we can do, let's really test ourselves against some of the best players in the world, in terms of players like Son. So we can go and enjoy that now, knowing that we're pretty much there. We've got that last game, which again I think is a totally winnable game at home. So I think another 3 points will really have us sitting in a really good position come the end of the league phase. But yeah, I agree with Josh, though. We've got a couple of tricky games coming up domestically. So the focus really now is we have to turn these difficult games into winning games. We've had too many of them this year that have not gone that way. So we have to start getting some of that European magic into the domestic games and get them to start enjoying those games as much as they are the Thursday nights, and really get the league campaign sort of back on track. Even if it's not going to be a track that leads in victory, it needs to be a track that's leading in a positive direction again, because the last 2 months it's really not been feeling like that.
Well, thank you very much, Doug. Thank you very much, Cammy. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and thank you for those who engage in the comments. We appreciate that as well. Tell your friends about us. Please like and subscribe. You can listen to us on the podcast apps as well. But it just leaves me to say thank you again for watching, and every night is a Rangers Journal night. Good night.